Chairman. Ms. Bogue, well, I know this is not within your control. When should the subcommittee expect to receive department's views on the remaining bills on today's agenda that impact the VA? I asked, as the subcommittee has not received views on all of the bills that were under consideration at the full committee legislative hearing on June 20th. So if you can give us an idea when we're going to receive those views, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. So we're actually working through the process right now. I expect shortly after this hearing, within the next 30 days, you will receive our position on those particular bills that we weren't able to talk about today.
Okay. All right, I'll move on. A question for Ms. Bogue again. Many of the bills on today's agenda seemingly duplicate some of the rules and regulations in place for a school to be eligible to receive federal student aid through Title IV. And I know you touched on this. Do you agree that it would be simpler to just require academic programs to be eligible for the Title IV funds in order to be eligible for the GI Bill?
There is some concerns there with just limiting it to Title IV because we have on-the-job training programs as well as apprenticeship programs that don't fall underneath Title IV that are eligible for the GI Bill program.
Yeah. How about academic programs?
Well, in terms of IHL programs, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay. Yes, we do think there should be alignment in terms of IHL programs with Title IV, yes.
Okay. Next question for you again. What is your view of the Principles of Excellence Bill, including regulations that are outside of VA's control and could effectively eliminate the GI Bill benefits for unaccredited courses?
I will tell you that was our biggest concern with that bill is the impact to non-college degree and OJT apprenticeship programs. So we really want to, if that something like that is passed, to really take a look at how do we exclude those kind of programs from this particular bill. In addition, it just references the principles of excellence. So we think that there's key pieces within the principles of excellence that could be codified, and we should look at that and include that in the bill versus an overall general statement of referencing the executive order.
Okay. Again, I know you brought this up in your testimony, but I want to expand on that. Do you believe that the VA is currently properly equipped or staffed to implement regulations related to the 90-10 rule or a rule requiring that all schools provide letters of credit?
We do express concerns with that in terms of that work will heavily fall into our state approving agencies, and we've had conversations with the state approving agencies about that. And we think that there's some items there that need to be addressed of leveraging synergies at Department of Education to alleviate some of that burden for VA to take on this new effort.
Thank you. I share your concern about the need for the SAAs to focus on enforcement and not outreach. However, in your written statement, you stated that the VA requires SAAs to conduct and report on their outreach activities, but does not reimburse the SAAs for the cost of outreach materials. Why require the SAAs to do something you don't reimburse them to complete?
We actually report on the outreach events they're attending. So if they're going to a job fair, each quarter, for the most part, the SAAs are providing us reports as it relates to travel and other administrative costs. So we ask for them to report on the actual events, not any other items as it relates to marketing materials and things of that nature, because we do not compensate them for that.
Okay. One last question, and I may have a follow-up on here too. Do you know how many students would be impacted by the proposed 90-10 change? I know you may have addressed this, you may have answered this question in your testimony, but if you could repeat it, I'd appreciate it.
In my oral, I did state that we initially identified 133 schools that could be potentially affected by this, which would in turn impact about 60,000 students.
And again, I think you've expressed your view on this, but let's reiterate. Are you concerned that there's no waiver authority for the Secretary to protect student veterans whose school may not immediately meet these new ambiguous standards?
We highly encourage that there be a waiver authority. Right now, we have the 85-15 rule, which is similar to 90-10, but instead we count students versus dollars to protect students from certain schools, and there is a waiver criteria in there. So we believe that if something like this is passed, there should be a waiver criteria that's imposed in this as well, so that way we can account for some of those high-quality programs that are doing what they need to do, but they might not meet that 90-10 threshold.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin.